Okay, let's talk about something big: faith and fortune. Is there a real connection? We're about to dive into a really surprising link between religious belief and what it takes to start a business, and we're going to do it by looking at one pretty fascinating case study.
This is a question people have argued about forever, right? Does your faith actually have a real, measurable impact on your success in business? Well, to get a real answer in today's world, you can't just guess. You need a unique place to test it.
And that perfect test case? Post-Soviet Russia. I mean, think about it. For almost a century, you have state-enforced atheism. Then, bam, the Soviet Union falls, and it triggers this massive and, frankly, pretty unexpected religious comeback. Yeah, faith came roaring back. In this sudden, dramatic shift from total state control to widespread religious freedom, well, it created this perfect natural experiment, a chance to see how faith actually impacts people's economic choices, like the big one: who decides to become an entrepreneur?
So when we look at the data from the study, you see this landscape just dominated by the Russian Orthodox Church. We're talking 81%. But you've also got these significant non-religious and Muslim populations in the mix. And that diversity is exactly what you need to start untangling what really matters for starting a business.
Okay, so this leads us to the big question, the central mystery here. If religion actually helps someone become an entrepreneur, how does it work? Is it about what you personally believe deep down? Is it about the specific group you belong to? Or is it about something you physically do? This is exactly what the research tries to figure out. All right, so there are two classic ideas here, two main theories. The first one is all about what you believe. The thinking goes that your faith gives you certain values, a strong work ethic, honesty, maybe a certain tolerance for risk, and those values shape you as a business person. Then there's the second theory, which is all about who you know. This idea says, hey, forget the internal stuff for a second. Your religious community itself is a powerful network. It gives you connections, trust, resources, all things that are, incredibly valuable when you're trying to start a business.
So that's the big showdown, right? In this really unique setting of Russia's religious revival, which one wins out? What actually predicts who becomes an entrepreneur? Is it about being Orthodox versus Muslim? Is it about how deeply you personally believe? Or could the answer be something else? Something nobody really expected? Well, researchers dug into more than a decade of data from the Russian Longitudinal Monitoring Survey to find the answer. And what they found? Well, it kind of flies in the face of some of the most common ideas about faith and business.
Okay, so first things first. It turns out it's not about your specific religion. It didn't matter if you were Russian Orthodox, Muslim, or non-religious. None of those labels consistently predicted whether someone would start a business. The data just wasn't there.
All right, so if it's not the label, what about how strongly you believe your personal piety? Well, guess what? Same story. The results were all over the place, totally inconsistent. Just calling yourself a believer wasn't enough to predict if you'd become an entrepreneur.
So wait a minute. If it's not what you believe, and it's not who you believe in, then what the heck is it? Well, the one and only thing that consistently mattered, the thing that had a strong positive link, was whether you show up. That's it. Religious participation. Let's break it down. Look at religious affiliation, or how much someone believes. The link to starting a business is either weak or just not there. But when you look at participation, actually going to services, bam, a strong, positive connection. The data showed this was the real game changer.
Okay, so that's the what. But what about the why? Why does simply showing up matter so much? Well, the answer comes down to this really powerful idea called social capital. So, what is social capital? It's basically the value you get from your social networks. It's the trust, the relationships, the connections that help you get things done. And as it turns out, places of worship, they are incredible hubs for building exactly that. I mean, just think about what that network gives you as an entrepreneur. You get access to potential clients, maybe find a supplier you can trust, you hear about what's going on in the market, you're building a good reputation just by being there. It's this high-trust environment. Basically, it's like a powerful, ready-made business incubator.
So after all that, what's the one big takeaway here?
Well, the study's author puts it perfectly. They say that in Russia, the link between religion and entrepreneurship comes down to participation. It's not about which group you belong to or how much you believe.
To put it another way, it's less about the faith in your heart and more about the connections you make in the pews. The real power, at least from a business perspective, comes from the community you build, not just the creed you follow.
And that leaves us with a really big question to chew on, doesn't it? As many societies around the world become more secular, where are future entrepreneurs going to find these kinds of powerful, high-trust networks? If the church or the mosque or the synagogue isn't that central hub anymore, what's going to take its place? Definitely something to think about.